U.S. lawmakers are formally calling on their government to pay more attention to the so-called comfort women, or women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during the Second World War. In a document attached to a spending bill for 2014, the U.S. House of Representatives makes note of a 2007 resolution on the comfort women issue and urges the Secretary of State to encourage the government of Japan to address the issues raised in the resolution. The 2007 resolution calls on the Japanese government to issue an official apology for its wartime sexual enslavement of women. An estimated 200,000 females, mostly Korean, were used as sex slaves by the Japanese army in the early 20th century, and many are still waiting for an apology from Tokyo, although time is running out for the aging victims. The bill passed on Wednesday is not legally binding, but is highly symbolic of Washington's efforts to address the matter. It marks the first time the comfort women issue has been included in U.S. legislation and is sure to ramp up pressure on the Japanese government. The Senate is expected to vote on the spending bill sometime this week, and if passed, it will be sent to the White House for President Barack Obama's signature.
The government of Japan's unwillingness to offer a formal and unequivocal apology to the women forced to be sexual slaves in World War II stands in stark contrast to its role in the world today. Japan is a proud world leader and a valued ally of the United States, making its unwillingness to honestly account for its past all the more perplexing. Japan's refusal to make an official government apology to the women who suffered as so-called comfort women is disturbing to all of us who value this relationship. Our resolution calls on the government of Japan to officially acknowledge and apologize for the appalling acts that Imperial Japan committed against the comfort women. But most importantly, it speaks out for the victims of this monstrous act, who were terrorized and brutalized by men at war. It gives voice to these courageous women, whom others have tried to silence through shame, bigotry, and threats of further violence. It is appropriate that this House stand up for these women who ask only that the truth be honored.
I rise today to express my unconditional and heartfelt support for those euphemistically known as to the world as comfort women. Let me on the outset thank my Mr. Chairman Lantos, ranking the vice chair of the subcommittee, Annie Falumavega, the ranking member Eliana. Really appreciate your support and your strong, clear statements. Today the House will make history as we consider the passage of H.R. 121, a resolution I introduced which seeks an official apology for what the comfort women endured under Japan's Imperial Armed Forces during World War II. On this day, I must recognize my good friend and mentor and former colleague, Representative Lane Evans, whose irreproachable character gave these women hope. The legacy of his spirit has remained with me throughout this incredible journey, during which it has been my personal honor to have carried this torch, and I know that his spirit is with me today too. If he is watching, I would like to thank him for his unparalleled courage and tireless efforts to bring justice and the restoration of dignity to the comfort women survivors. Lane, Semper Fi. I would also like to recognize Ms. Lee Yong-soo, a survivor of the comfort stations, who is here today with us. Ms. Lee has been a stalwart and passionate advocate for herself and her fellow survivors. On February 15th of this year, Ms. Lee was joined by Ms. Jan Ruff O'Hearn and Ms. Kim Kunja as witnesses in a hearing before the the Pacific and Global Environment Subcommittee, chaired by my good friend, Eni Vega. I would also like to thank him and Chairman Tom Lantos for their outspoken support for these women. The survivors' riveting and gut-wrenching testimony about the horrors they endured as former comfort women brought us all to tears and impacted me profoundly. Their courage and indomitable spirit will continue to inspire me every day. Mr. Speaker, today the House will send a message to the government of Japan that it should deliver an official, unequivocal, unambiguous apology for the indignity the comfort women suffered. Too many times we've seen women victimized by war and conflict. The experience of these women is a vivid reminder that the human rights of women around the world are never fully secure. We know that rape, sexual abuse, and sometimes murder of women and girls in war are still committed by armies in various countries. One thinks of Darfur, of Bosnia, and East Timor. We must teach future generations that we cannot allow this to happen. Mr. Speaker, encouraging our good friend and ally, the government of Japan, to officially and unequivocally apologize is, in my mind, my heart, and the minds and hearts of all those concerned about protecting rights, is the thing to do. I have always believed that reconciliation is the first step in the healing process, and I am proud to be here today on this truly historic occasion to continue to advocate with every fabric of my being for that principle. I urge my colleagues to join me in support of protecting and defending the human rights of comfort women by voting yes on H.R. 121, and I yield back.
The story told by Koreans about the comfort women is not based on the fact.
Do you want to be fight each other, Korean people and the Japanese people in the United States?
Comfort ladies are nothing more than prostitutes or professional camp followers.
Whether they were considered prostitutes at the time or were forced, to me is a moot argument, because there's no such thing as a willing 14-year-old prostitute.
If there were 200,000 sex slaves, why that story had been hidden for 50 years?
How about the fact that they didn't want to go out into the world while they were still young and announce to everyone that, hey, by the way, I was raped by hundreds of soldiers?
One of the speakers said, oh, we never heard about it. No, you never heard about it, because the Japanese government chose not to teach its people the reality and the truth of what that imperial army did in the Second World War.
Today and for the future, we're standing here side by side with Grandma Lee, Halmini Lee, and many leaders from our united Chinese, Korean, Filipino, Japanese, women's faith-based communities as well.
The comfort women began to break their silence. And in the early 90s, the breaking of that silence and the awareness of what rape does during wartime made the international community and the UN actually declare that rape during wartime was a crime against humanity.
Yes. And we spoke at the unveiling of the Comfort Woman statue in Glendale, California. And I want to say right now that there was absolutely no example or no incident of harassment of our community, no experience of bullying of Japanese American children by Koreans in Los Angeles.
My name is Miho Lee, and I'm coordinator for the Comfort Women Justice Coalition. And I'm here to witness this historical moment where the San Francisco Board of Supervisors will be voting in the proposed resolution to urge the city to erect a memorial for comfort women. In my understanding, opposition is quite diverse, but really spearheaded by the Japanese government, or specifically the Abe administration and the supporters of the Abe regime.
죄를 짓지만 사람을 짓지 않다는 걸 분명히 얘기합니다. 저는 우리 후손을 생각해서 우리는 올바른 역사를 가르치고 올바른 교육을 가르쳐야 된다고 생각합니다.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ma. I think the first thing I'd like to convey is that the comfort women's stories generally propagated in this country are totally false. They are not true. For example, 200,000 people. That was not true. And sex slaves, that is not true.
I do want to address some of the members of the audience that came here, though, and spoke to deny what happened. And I say this with a great deal of love and respect, but shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you for denying what happened, and shame on you for the personal attacks on this woman, Grandma Lee, who had the courage to fly from another side of the world to come here to speak her truth. You know, it is amazing. And by the way, I hope that the Japanese government is not behind some of these denials. I give credit to this government. I hope that they're not involved, because if they are, it's a double offense. It adds insult to injury.
And I wanted to say that I feel extremely empowered by the presence of Grandma Lee and so many people in solidarity from other cities that are here. I feel empowered by a new coalition that the Rape of Nanjing Redress Coalition and others have built beyond just the Chinese community. I feel empowered as a father of a 15-year-old daughter with hope for the future.